course, the software that we've now got for Neighbourhood Watch, which will dramatically make a difference in terms of how we engage with the public. It's a piece of software called Alert. Don't ask me to say what it means, other than it is alert. And it's actually a very, very good piece of software, because it was developed by the Home Office specifically for Neighbourhood Watch. It now enables them to administer themselves. But what it does do, it enables the police to input to that on a daily, ongoing basis what has been happening right across the county. So that Neighbourhood Watch people don't have to wait for a meeting in the village hall to find out what's happened. They know the very next morning whether there's been a burglary, whether there's been some antisocial behaviour or casting, or whatever the case might be. It's there for them to see. And the police can flag up if they're looking for extra information. So you can get feedback immediately on that. And there was such a big time lag before in the way in which it was organised. And I think the really good thing about it is that more people will get involved, because we've had business people say, well, I never had time for Neighbourhood Watch, but I can do this because I can come on, belong to it, put the computer on in the morning and have a look. And of course there's a lot of concern about business crime, and so they've taken that on board. A lot of the parish councils have said, my goodness, you know, this is great because we can be up to speed. Now it's going to be administered by Neighbourhood Watch, not us. You know, they've got that on board, they're very excited about it. But the other thing it does as well, it brings in people, again, who hadn't got time to belong or go to meetings in the evening, particularly young mums. And on the trial we did, where you've got young mums who hooked onto this, of course they go down to the school gates in the morning, and they're probably the best network is in the county. So everyone knows what is happening, and if we're trying to get information, then there's more chance of getting it than we had before. So I'm very excited about that. It's still not fully operational yet, but it's partly operational and it's being worked on, and will be within, I think, within the next month, we will be totally operational with that. And I think that's going to bring a lot of rewards to us.
A question on Neighbourhood Watch. There is a sort of feeling within the community that it's perhaps something that has passed its sell-by date to a certain extent. The initial sort of raft of Neighbourhood Watch ideas and panels and stuff were set up 25 years ago. Do you feel it's still relevant?
Yes, I think it's very relevant for the reason that I did what I did in persuading them to have the software, which didn't cost us anything actually, because the Home Office provided it. It cost us the license with the police in order for them to use it. That wasn't a fantastic amount of money. And my idea of doing that was to give it a new look, to bring new people in. And if you've got business people involved in it, young mums involved in it, and now one of the things I've always wanted to do is reach out to parish councils. It gives them instant view as to what's happening in their neighbourhood, and so they can in fact sort of get involved. And that, I think, gives a complete new lease of life. Now, we'll obviously be monitoring that, but my belief is in a year's time we're going to show quite clearly that we've been able to engage with the public in a far better way than we've ever done in the past. And that is what it's all about, because there are thousands of eyes and ears out there that can help the police giving information. We want to try and sort of attract them and tell them exactly what it is that we're looking for. If you've had difficulties in a particular village, and this comes up in waves, you know. If you've got everyone then looking out for it.
But are you convinced this is more than perceived?
Oh, absolutely. In other parts of the country, I looked at it in Derbyshire, and they couldn't stop raving about it there. And they're actually way underway. They've been underway for the last 9-10 months, and it has got so much more sort of involved. And the police find it extremely helpful, but so do the local authorities. are up front on everything that's happening and everyone can look at it. And that sort of, I was convinced it was going to be a good thing anyway. Having talked to someone who really used it, say in Derbyshire, and there you've got, in Derbyshire you've got obviously the larger cities, but lots of rural as well, and just like us. And so I say it hasn't cost us a fortune, because the software was absolutely free to everyone who's using it outside. And it cost us, I don't know how much off the hand, about £10,000 for the police to have a license to use it. And it'll be even more sort of a joined up thing when we get the new software with all the police having a smartphone, with all that information coming in, because the interesting thing, whatever you put onto alert will go to them anyway, so they've got it there and then. And they don't only use that as a way of reporting back in and sending their report. And one of the things we're interested in doing is getting them to actually make their report while they're outside, so keep them outside. They can sit outside the coffee bar or in the car in the corner, but they're still going to be there. All of that is logged in the computer, and they can see what is happening around them as well as anyone else can. And it should not only save, well, it's going to save a huge number of man-hours. It is. I mean, the number I was given was something like 38,000 man-hours, which is incredible. So therefore, we're going to have a much more efficient force.
I'm concerned about what you said regarding information automatically recorded and popping up, because I've had experience of systems where the whole operation has just collapsed under the weight of information, unfiltered, that has just come in, and therefore you're getting irrelevant information which just slows you down. My third question is, and I apologise, I'm a new boy, so if I'm asking silly questions, I'll learn and then ask silly questions in an experienced way. Whether there's a difference between alert and ECOPS from which I get useful information and feed information on a regular basis now.
Totally different. Alert is out there, which is driven by Neighbourhood Watch, it's there for the public. eSINs is not for the public. It's for the partners. Oh, sorry, ECOPS. I mean, ECOPS is a separate thing. I haven't got involved in that. That is there, and it was there. It's not part of my jurisdiction to get involved.
But I get information overnight.
Fine.
There was a burglary at number 48.
Fine. Well, you'll do a lot better once we get alert going. And I'd recommend it to you. We can always just, give you a sort of show on that.
Thank you.
Well, two things. Briefly, the first thing is about the Neighbourhood Watch. And I don't feel necessarily it needs to be measured by success necessarily of an outcome. The idea, as I see it, is about encouraging reporting. If, for example, you encourage be more encouraging of reporting, you get 100 calls that may be totally irrelevant, but you might just get that one thing that just links something together. And I think that's the important, and that's the way I would be looking at that.
Absolutely.
That's a comment rather than a question.
Yeah.
And it's the right
view.
The second point I just made is on just business crime. In South Cambs we did a piece of work with a dedicated officer, a dedicated PCO. South Cambs was a victim of rural business crime. Because we did that piece of work over the last year, it's reduced by about 30% within the last year, 18 months. So it just goes to show with some support it can work.